Welcome to my Vlog 2 assignment, Skills and Capacities in Speed and Agility. First off, an athlete performing a high-speed running drill with a lack of skill. The main skill deficit is the lack of stiff spring action in the calves due to an insufficient triple extension and absence of hip lock or hip extension whilst landing. Without citing the whole technical model, this athlete lacks timing and skill of triple extension and the basic forefoot landing and skipping skills. Whilst the timing of the ground contact is quite good, i.e. the foot landing is just in front of his center of mass, and the recovery limb folds quite well with a parallel shin, there is not enough pre-tension of the calves due to an insufficient dorsiflexed ankle, which in turn accounts for the lack of forefoot placement during the landing. In the mid stance, knee and ankle flexion is too big and the hip is not fully extended. There is no hip lock. This way the spring action of the calves and isometric hamstring function to overcome vertical impulse is not working properly. This results in a push-off which is too far backward because the athlete needs more time horizontally to help overcome gravity, which in turn makes the limb recover too late into the swing phase and therefore too late and with a lack of tension in the pre-stance phase. Basic landing mechanics are the starting point for improving this athlete's running skills. Skipping drills aim at creating pre-tension in calves and hamstrings, a forefoot landing and an extended hip. Following the skipping drills, we could improve skipping with a knee drive. In this way, we can start practicing the knee drive, the paw back, and the hip extension. The athlete shows he's struggling as he is now driving the knee forward and pawing back, but it is hard for him to dorsiflex his ankle just before the forefoot landing, therefore creating proper pre-tension. By working with cones, we can progressively enlarge step length. This way, the learned skills can be improved towards high-speed running, and its required larger step length and consequently more knee drive, paw back, hip extension and spring action during the mid-stance. The cones facilitate the foot placement just in front of the center of mass, which in turn creates a more extended hip in the mid-stance phase. The next athlete, which is me, is showing a speed drill with a capacity deficit, and the speed drill is acceleration. The skill deficits in my acceleration phase are due to capacity deficits. My forward lean reduces too fast, my center of mass should be in front of the touchdown foot during the first 5 steps, but it dramatically reduces in the second and third step. A lack of hip extensor strength and explosiveness creates a necessity to push off too far backward. The lack of a strong and fast concentric and stiff triple extension creates a weak push-off and the leg raises too much too high in the air, and therefore it doesn't recover near to the ground and it doesn't recover fast enough. And this causes the recovery leg to take too much time to drive forward and then paw back efficiently. Strength and speed of triple extension are the 2 variables I should work on. This can be done by isolated weightlifting exercises and isolated capacity drills. This box drill forces a triple extension and a hip lock. This is a good first step. From here on we can add resistance to enhance the concentric strength level we need in the acceleration phase. When the capacity of the first step is trained bilaterally, we can practice making more steps. And then by adding resistance, in this example through the use of a resistance band, we can cue the athlete into remaining vertically impulsed for a longer period. The vertical angle of the body position in this third step is already a lot better than the one in the second step as shown on the field. This all necessitates a more powerful hip extension and a faster paw back, As we can see, the push-off distance is reduced. However, the push-off leg still doesn't recover nice and fast closely to the ground. Next, an athlete with a capacity deficit in agility. Besides a deficit in skill, among other findings, for the triple extension in the sagittal plane, which we saw in the high-speed running skill deficit video, this athlete has a capacity deficit in the frontal and transverse plane. In curved running, his upper body makes a contralateral bend away from the direction he is turning or cutting towards to. In ascension, he is incapable from his capacity deficits to convert or transpose the vertical forces into the proper and robust lateral or resultant force direction needed to make a safe and fast cut. The athlete is making a 45-degree cut towards a front quarter direction. There is a clear lack of eccentric and isometric control in the glutes and trunk stabilizers, which make him bend and rotate away from the direction he is running at. My apologies for the finger in the right corner, but I wanted to show this angle because it so clearly demonstrates the lack of capacities in stiffness or ability to work isometrically with the contralateral or inner side torso and glutes, and it shows the weakness of the cutting leg. And you can see the athlete can't control the forces appropriately because of the massive cross step he has to make. This is not good for two reasons. First of all, it's a major risk for ACL injuries, and second, he loses a lot of speed compared to when he would have had robust capacities which would direct all forces from the point of force application, his foot, towards the direction he was cutting at a lot quicker. First of the two capacities I would like to improve for this athlete are his ability to keep a stiff torso whilst extending, bending and turning. A nice way to do this is to make co-contractions in different directions whilst isometrically using the glutes and hamstrings, and try to keep the torso as stiff as possible in a GHR machine. Now we can start working on the lateral extension capacities of the cutting leg. The Kaiser, or possibly a resistance band which gives an overload pull opposite to the force direction you want, creates the necessary stimulus to laterally extend whilst maintaining a stiff torso in the direction the athlete is moving at. Progressing from the slower movements and generating basic strength and stiffness, we can now start accelerating and changing direction faster. We can make a progression from isolated cutting movements towards a step and cut, and landing from a jump and then cutting, and so on. For the skill deficit in agility, I am the athlete once again. In this clip, I demonstrate a lack of skill for deceleration, backpedaling, sidestepping and acceleration. The main deficits in my braking and backpedaling effort are a large backward lean of my torso, which almost brings me out of balance, forcing me to almost stand entirely straight. Therefore it takes longer to accelerate due to a larger step back. As a drill to improve my skill, I broke the movement into separate components: braking, sidestepping or shuffling, backpedaling and acceleration. The two main cues are to keep my feet under my center of mass throughout the whole drill, and to emphasize each step with changes to the next direction by planting the foot robustly into the ground. The next step is to adjust the constraints of the environment. By making the space to move smaller, my step length needs to decrease, thereby creating more stability and speed, whilst trying to maintain a properly aligned center of mass. I would like to thank Koen and Ilko, who were of assistance in making this video. And I'd like you to enjoy this example of why you need to brake with small steps and not large steps.